It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. This is Expresso, only on SABC3, and it truly is a Feel Good Thursday morning. In just a second, JP Sebastian, he is right here. Almost said she is right here, but we're talking about the biggest movie releases for 2015. But first, here's your box office top 5. Sorry, buddy. This is the South African top 5 box office hits over the last weekend. Leading Lady leads the South African film industry this week at number 5. Horrible Bosses 2 does not so horribly but drops down to 4th place. The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1 fights to stay in the top and takes the number 3 spot after a month on the chart. The Penguins of Madagascar keeps bums in seats this festive season as they drop to 2nd place. The final installment of The Hobbit towers over all the others in 1st place after grossing $117 million in its first weekend.
Well, there you have it, The Hobbit Battle of the Five Armies at number 1. But right now, it's all about what we'll be releasing in 2015. What can you expect to be sitting down in the theatre to watch? And we have our movie critic, JP Sebastian. She is here, as Ewan said earlier. How do you feel about that?
I feel confused, conflicted. Maybe 2015 will be a very new year for me.
Anyway, okay, let's get into it. The first movie that we have here is Whiplash, right?
I'm very excited about Whiplash, and I wanted to talk in particular about ones that people maybe aren't as familiar with, because like you did last week, you spoke about Foxcatcher, you spoke about Birdman. Whiplash is about this young man who wants to achieve fame as a drummer. And he's got his idea of what success means. His professor, however, has another idea, and it's this mind game back and forth between the two of them. You know, these movies are coming back, these sort of like psychic twisting kind of get into your head kind of things.
Okay.
Sort of like There Will Be Blood was by Paul Thomas Anderson, also by Paul Thomas Anderson was The Master. This one, however, is on the heels of the other one I mentioned, Foxcatcher. There's this trend to try and go back into getting into the head of the character a lot more, and I'm so excited for that kind of thing. It's intense.
Okay,
Look up the trailer, seriously.
So that is Whiplash. Let's talk about Inherent Vice. The title alone just serves to intrigue me.
Sure, it's an adaptation of a book by Thomas Pynchon and by the director who I just mentioned, actually, Paul Thomas Anderson, one of my favorite directors of all time, who was kind of the guy who put Joaquin Phoenix on a larger map for most people. So, like I said, The Master and whatnot. And then after that, it was Her with Scarlett Johansson playing the computer. Anyway, all besides the point. Inherent Vice is a nice light departure from Paul Thomas Anderson's usually dark and heavy themes of, oh, what was the oil industry like start in the United States, or The Master is about wacky cult religions and stuff. This is a comedy, it's also a detective story, but I'm pretty sure, like you said, it's going to have that mysterious element to it. Joaquin Phoenix looks great.
My goodness. All right, last one that we have here is Inside Out.
Inside Out. Now,
Yay, animation.
I'm trying. Can you see?
Thank you.
JP is trying to sweeten up, and especially since he's taken this new direction in life, apparently. Why it intrigues me so, we don't know a lot of details about it just yet, but where every other animation is the story outside of the person, like, oh, they're embarking on this adventure in this large world. This is about the inside of every character's head.
Oh, so, wow.
They're governed by, you know, as Disney presumes, that we are governed by these 5 emotions of joy, of doubt, of guilt, of blah, 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 blah. And it really looks like it's going to be Disney laying down their 101. Like, look, this is how we do it.
Yes,
This is how we get into you, and this is how you relate to our movies. So it could be pretty profound. Like,
that sounds pretty cool, and it looks great as well.
Yeah,
the animation.
Sweet, I'm
a fan. So it's called Inside Out. All right, so that's what we can expect. Do you think it's going to be a good year for films?
You know, like you come, every time I come on here, you're like, oh, it's JP, the grumpy one. But look, when I do a retrospective, I'm like, even this year was great. And I'm sure we're going to talk about that a bit later. But next year, there's some exciting things coming about. I watched Foxcatcher already, the one you mentioned. And that's intense. It might even already be best film of 2015 for South Africa, but...
Wow, man. Well, there you have it. Feast your eyes on that a little bit. But right now, it's time to turn our attention to the community of Diepsloot in Johannesburg, where they just had their 3rd annual Christmas drive that was, of course, sponsored by Stain City and a couple of the other sponsors over there. But really, of course, Christmas is all about a time of giving, and that's exactly what our friends at Stain City are doing. Take a look.